Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to WWE Monday Night Raw Retro Review from January 11th, 1999's episode 294. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode from January 11th, the week after Mick Foley winning his first ever WWF Championship against The Rock, was actually a very outstanding and well put together show. Despite the fact that we did see a World Championship match occur in this event, it wasn't all that great of an ending, but it made a lot of sense, and it showed a little bit of separation within the corporation faction with Mr. McMahon and The Rock's group, but I'll get further into that because that's in the middle part of this review. But that was one of the big important matches that occurred on this card. But first things first, we get a promo performed by Mick Foley celebrating as the new WWF champion. Pretty much goes on about how it's great to be a champion, even though for the fact that he looks like a man that doesn't look like a WWF superstar, on top of the fact that the one man that believed in him and stuck by him through 12 years and finally got through Vince McMahon to sign him to the WWE, or WWF from back then, that was Jim Ross. Jim Ross was the guy that believed he was the right guy for the position in the WWF, and felt that he would be a great asset to the company. We go on with this promo. Rock and Mr. McMahon come out, and Rock offers a proposition match for his title clause for the WWF World Championship. Goes on to say, okay, we're going to have a no disqualification match. Mick Foley comes out and says, sorry, been there, done that, you're not getting your shot. Then he says, false count anywhere. He goes on to say, well, you know, we've had just about that kind of match, and I've beaten you before, so you know what, you're not really championship material, so no bite, no thanks. Mick Foley, or The Rock, then offers the match to be with no interference by the corporation, just him and Mick Foley. And Mick Foley once again still declines the offer until The Rock comes out and says, "Well, you know what, Mick Foley, I give up. I quit. I don't know what to get through to you to make you want to have a rematch with me." Mick Foley stops him there and says, "Well, you know what? You gave me a great idea. We're going to have an I Quit match. A match where you have to beat your opponent senseless to the point where they have to go ahead and say, I quit." And Mick Foley also goes on to say in this promo that he's a guy that will not quit. He will not give in. He can take the punishment and pain. He's been through a massive amount of pain and destruction with his body that quitting is not an option to him. Quitting isn't even in his vocabulary. So The Rock, he was doing great in this promo, by the way. If you guys don't get you haven't seen this episode, you ought to check this episode out. It was back and forth, great commentary by both men in this promo. They both really developed this storyline and build up towards the idea of the match. And I just really enjoyed watching the back and forth dialogue between The Rock and Mick Foley. It was outstanding. Later on, after that promo, before it ends, Mr. McMahon, Vince McMahon, goes on to say that there's going to be a corporation Royal Rumble match between the corporation and the DX members, as well as DX will have a singles match. Each one of the competitors, or each one of the members of DX, will also have singles match competition before the main event starts. So they're making pretty much the odds stacked against them, making it even more difficult for one of the members on their team win. The other part of the stipulation here for the Corporation Royal Rumble match is if the winner, whoever wins this match, will go on to be the number 30 entrant in the Royal Rumble. So leaving even more intrigue and story progression into the storyline for the Royal Rumble match. It's too bad we don't see these kinds of things occurring in WWE's modern day product, because it's not really that hard. Just, you could have the, determine the 30th man in the entrance. You could leave a surprise, which is what they did this year, even though the surprise of Triple H winning the WWE Championship wasn't all that surprising at all to me, simply because of the fact he got his ass whooped and then returned and won the title anyway. But in all honesty, this was actually great build-up towards the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. The World Heavyweight title and the Royal Rumble match was being built outstanding in this promo alone. So very impressive on WWE's part back then with building this up. I really think that was a well put together idea, and it made a lot of sense, and it had a purpose on the show. So definitely a very good promo. Very highly on my liking towards promos out of things that I've seen in the past. So it definitely is up there in good promos. The first match on the card was actually for the WWF World Tag Team Titles number 1 contenders match with Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart as the tag team against the New Age Outlaws. They used Deborah's assets, meaning her tits, to help them get an advantage over Billy Gunn and Road Dogg. Unfortunately, that was not the case. The deal is that Deborah started playing around with Chyna around ringside. A little lesbian action going on there, except Chyna wanted nothing to do with it. But Road Dogg was distracted by the outside, trying to find out what the hell is going on, why Billy Gunn is trying to separate those two instead of worrying about keeping his mind and focus on the match. In that case, that led to Jeff Jarrett doing a roll-up pin, and I also believe a little bit of grabbing the tights to get an advantage there, and they got the 1, 2, 3. This match to me was definitely an okay match. I really had no complaint on the in-ring competition that occurred in this match, so I'd definitely give it a 3 out of 5 stars. The next match was Luna and Gillberg. This was the in-ring debut of Gillberg on Monday Night Raw. Boy, was this a fucking riot. I think this was hilarious, very funny, and it just was downright bizarre and retarded. And he was the light heavyweight champion, supposedly, going into this match. The title was not on the line, thank God. Luna actually picks up the victory here, and also it's announced that Luna, leading up to the pay-per-view, is facing Sable in a strap match for the Women's Championship belt at the Royal Rumble. This match, I wouldn't even really give it much of a rating. I'd say maybe 2 for entertainment purposes and comedy reasons, but outside of that, nothing major there. We also see that the WWF European Championship belt was on the line. X-Pac was the champion going in, facing Al Snow, and there's also storyline developing here as well. During their Sunday Night Heat episode before the one that was actually aired for Monday Night Raw, Goldust actually steals Al Snow's head. You know, the thing they carried around and they called it head. Which every time they said head, kind of refers to getting a blowjob, which is kind of funny. If any kids have watched this, please, whatever. I'll put a disclosure down below since I mentioned that. But anyway, so Al Snow gets a title shot, but he's more concerned about finding that barber grooming head that he carries around with him everywhere, instead of worrying about trying to win the European title. X-Pac, I believe, yeah, also that Goldust tries to interfere in this match, distracts Al Snow, and he loses with with getting hit with the X Factor by X-Pac, and X-Pac walks away victorious with the 1-2-3. This match, I'd say it was about a 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't too bad. The match could have gone on a little bit longer. The match only went on for 3 minutes, which is a pretty short match. We also did see another storyline developing through a promo. You get to see Val Venus come out. It looked like he was going to be having a match, but he actually didn't. He was trying to hit on Ken Shamrock's sister, which you later find out in this segment that's who it is. So he's trying to hit on her and everything else, and Ken Shamrock goes apestick, runs down the ramp, goes to the ring and starts beating the hell out of Val Venus. From there, he exits the arena after he beats the shit out of him, and Billy Gunn actually comes down to the ring and moons his sister and says, "Hey, you know what? You don't think that us guys are good for her? Well, I think she wants to see a little of this," and he moons his ass to her, and she kind of smiles and laughs at the same time, finding that cute, amusing, or something like that. And this Billy Gunn and Ken Shamrock are actually having a match leading into the Royal Rumble as well for the Intercontinental Championship, and Ken Shamrock is actually a champion going into this event, by the way. So this was actually leading to friction between the two characters, kind of pissing off Shamrock that Billy Gunn's showing lack of respect towards his sibling, and this is actually leading to a family kind of feud situation for the Intercontinental title on the line, which gives a little prestige to the championship. It gives the belt even more meaning than just a regular match who's trying to become the WWF Intercontinental Champion. So that was a good idea there. I mean, there was kind of things that were a little controversial, but for today's day and age, that would be controversial. But a lot of things that WWE did back in those times were very controversial overall. And that's simply why they changed the product to a PG rating for people to be able to watch it of all ages. But unfortunately, the product absolutely sucks in that case anyway. So nothing really after that really happened except for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship was on the line. That was also announced during that promo that Mankind would actually be defending the World Heavyweight title against Kane. That Rock didn't really take that too kindly. Didn't really like the idea of that situation happening on a Monday Night Raw episode when the match was already settled for him and The Rock to go one-on-one. So, match went on. We got some good hardcore action going on. There was a little steel steps used throughout the match. Kind of a little questionable about the stipulations of the match. Really, it seemed like a hardcore match. There was low blows occurred in the match. On top of that, and then The Rock interferes, and then all of a sudden there's a DQ. To prevent Kane from getting the 1-2-3 to win the championship after he hits a Tombstone Piledriver. A little disturbing in my opinion, because they literally did some things that you cannot do in a regular singles match in front of the referee, and they did. So there was a little discrepancy on the rules there. Number one, it seemed like a hardcore match. Then with the DQ, it felt like a singles match. So it was really awkward and bizarre how this all ended. They really shouldn't have had those two using steel steps and doing low blows to each other, because it would have made a little bit more sense to the viewer about the rules and regulations of the match. So it was kind of confusing to me. But I mean, if you check it out, maybe it won't be confusing to you. I have no idea. I think it is. Sounds like something WCW would do back in the old day when they were around. So, yeah, The Rock interferes, screws Kane over out of the WWF title when he pretty much looked like he was going to win this match overall. We also had Triple H going up against Edge in a decent one-on-one match. And by the way, the rating on Kane and Mankind for the WWF title was actually a 3.5 out of 5, mainly because there was good action involved. There was a hardcore type feel in it, but the ending kind of ruined it for me. I would have ranked it a 4 if it wasn't for the DQ ending. But overall, it was still a good match to watch. Triple H versus Edge one-on-one. This match was also another 3-minute match. Pretty short, but decent action occurred. And Triple H picked up the victory with a pedigree and won the match 1-2-3. After the match was over, the Brood with Christian, Edge, and Gangrel showed up. The lights turned out, and when the lights went back on, Road Dogg was covered in a puddle of blood. To me, very strange, makes no fucking sense. A lot of people back in the day thought that was pretty cool. Me, I kind of find it a little awkward. Like, what is it supposed to mean? Oh, wow, you poured blood on me. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Am I gonna be cursed or something? Am I gonna die? Is this poison blood or something shit? I mean, I don't understand what the fucking big deal was back then, outside of the spectacle of, oh my god, there was blood spilt on somebody and we don't know where it came from or what have you. Big fucking whoop-de-doo. This was one thing about the show that I thought was absolutely bizarre, kind of dumb, and really to me was just a weak attempt of trying to have shock value. And it didn't really shock me at all. I thought it was kind of a waste of time. Which later on it leads to a match for the next week on Monday Night Raw for the Hardcore title, which I will do that episode immediately following this one. So stay tuned on that when I upload it, and definitely check that one out as well. So from there, we got a boring ass match with D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry. Went to no contest. Mark Henry got low blowed in the crotch by China. Or no, not by China, by Terry Reynolds. And then China came out and protected him with this one woman who's actually in male, supposedly. You don't find this out until later on, which I will explain in the next episode, which by the way is the explanation for the next episode that will explain it. That it is a man, not a woman. So this was a really lame fucking segment. I guess it was time to just kill or what have you. Nothing big happened here. But it was kind of entertaining, I guess. I don't know. I really have no idea. But overall, I mean, it wasn't all that important. Triple H and Edge was pretty damn good. I don't think I mentioned the ranking, the rating on that match. I give that match a 3 out of 5 stars. D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry, dud. Complete garbage. Waste of time. We also then, from there, got the 30-man Corporation Royal Rumble match. Or as the winner enters the Royal Rumble as the number 30 entrant, and this is the corporate Royal Rumble match. Mini Royal Rumble match for each member. This match actually went on close to 11 minutes long, which was actually that was the longest match on the whole card. Pretty shocking on that. So we got a lot of eliminations that occurred. Everything was pretty much pretty insane. The match itself was decent, felt very authentic towards a Royal Rumble match, and it had a very good moment. We later on see that Chyna is the last person in the ring. We think that Vince McMahon avoided from being number 2 to go one-on-one with Stone Cold Steve Austin. But we later find out that Chyna was the last entrant in the Corporation Royal Rumble match for the DX members. And Stone Cold distracts Vince McMahon, and Chyna gets in the ring and eliminates him and wins the Royal Rumble match. Unbelievable. Chyna gets to be the number 30 entrant in the 1999 Royal Rumble. We all know for a fact she's not going in there winning this Royal Rumble whatsoever. If you know your history, then you know the result, what's going to happen at the Royal Rumble. If not, you'll be surprised. Anyway, pretty much overall, this show was a decent show. Good storyline progressions occurred. Some decent matches. I was very enthused about the event. Definitely well worth the time to watch. And definitely, if you haven't seen this episode or know nothing about the show, definitely highly recommend watching this just to see how it all breaks down and everything. I know I gave you all the spoilers if you haven't seen the episode, but if you have and you forgot how the show went and everything else, check it out. It definitely is worth the time watching it for a second time. I really enjoyed myself, and I hope you guys, if you do check it out, enjoy it as well. Leave your comments and opinions down below. Definitely I'll get back to you on them as well. And also, hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and lay the smackdown on that subscribe button. And thank you very much for watching, and have a great day, guys. I'm going to be back with part 2 of Retro Raw Review for 1999, January 18th episode. Anyway, thank you very much, and catch you in a few more moments, okay? Bye.